How were X-rays discovered? A German physicist, Wilhelm Konrad Röntgen, discovered X-rays in 1895 and received the first Nobel Prize in physics. But what many people don't know is that the discovery of X-rays had actually started years before Röntgen's work. William Morgan emerged to be the first experimenter to produce X-rays, but he wasn't aware of it. Back in 1785, Morgan presented an exciting discovery to the Royal Society of London. He had been experimenting with passing electrical currents through a glass tube that was partially emptied of air. He called it a partially evacuated tube. The process caused the glass to glow. Although he didn't know it at the time, this glow was actually created by X-rays. This was the first time someone discovered X-rays. However, he didn't make any further experiments or discoveries regarding this. Then, in the late 1800s, scientists were studying something called cathode rays. Cathode rays are beams of tiny particles called electrons, and they were first noticed in 1869. Scientists working with special glass tubes called Crookes tubes, which were invented around 1875, started to see strange effects while experimenting. These tubes used high-voltage electricity, up to 100,000 volts, to make the tiny particles in the tubes move. When these fast-moving electrons hit the anode, or even the glass walls of the tube, they created a mysterious type of radiation. So, after a long century, we saw more scientists again discovering X-rays. Still, no one was specifically credited for discovering X-rays. This might be because no one knew what those radiations were, and that's why the study on cathode rays continued. A few years later, in 1888, a scientist named Philipp Lenard decided to dig deeper into the mystery behind cathode rays. He wanted to figure out if these rays could escape from a Crookes tube and travel through the air. To test this, he created a special version of the tube called a Lenard tube, which had a thin aluminium window at one end. This window was placed near the cathode, allowing the cathode rays to hit it directly. Lenard found something invisible that could pass through the aluminium window. This strange thing could expose photographic plates and make certain materials glow. He was excited by this and started testing how it went through different materials. He learned it had many strange properties. Later, scientists realized some of these Lenard rays were actually X-rays. Then came 1890. That year, something incredible happened that no one fully understood at the time. Photographer William Jennings and Arthur W. Goodspeed, an associate professor at the University of Pennsylvania, were working together on an interesting project. They were taking photographs of coins using electric sparks. On February the 22nd, after wrapping up their experiments, 2 coins were accidentally left sitting on a stack of photographic plates. Later, Goodspeed showed Jennings how a Crookes tube worked, and they went on with their day. But here's where things get interesting. When Jennings developed the plates, he noticed strange disc-like shapes that weren't supposed to be there. Neither he nor Goodspeed could figure out what caused them, so they ignored the mystery and moved on. It wasn't until 1896 that they realized they had unknowingly created one of the earliest X-ray photographs. Even though they didn't claim credit for discovering X-rays, their accidental creation became part of the story of this scientific revelation. So, before Wilhelm Konrad Röntgen, many scientists contributed to the discovery of X-rays. However, it was Röntgen who did a lot of work that made him famous for discovering X-rays. But how? Well, on November 8, 1895, Wilhelm Röntgen was working with Lenard tubes and Crookes tubes. During his experiments, he found a mysterious type of radiation and began studying it closely. He called this unknown radiation X-rays, with X standing for something unknown. This was the first time that the experimenter actually named the rays. By December 28, 1895, Röntgen had written a report called On a New Kind of Ray, a preliminary communication, which he submitted to the Journal of Würzburg's Physical Medical Society. This paper became the first scientific report about X-rays. Interestingly, some early writings mistakenly called them chi rays, thinking the X was the Greek letter chi. So, how did he actually discover X-rays? Here we want to share one thing. that his lab notes were burned after his death. This left some details uncertain, but biographers have pieced together a likely account of what happened. Röntgen was working with cathode rays using a Crookes tube, which he had carefully wrapped in black cardboard to block out visible light. During his experiment, he noticed a faint green glow on a fluorescent screen, painted with barium platinocyanide, which was positioned about a meter away. He was amazed to see that the rays causing the glow passed right through the cardboard and even through books and papers on his desk. This discovery was so exciting that he dedicated himself to studying these mysterious rays in depth. Just 2 months later, Röntgen published a paper detailing his findings. This unveiled the world of X-rays to science and forever changed medicine and physics. After discovering X-rays, Röntgen quickly realized their potential, particularly in the field of medicine. One of his first moments came when he created a photograph of his wife's hand by using a photographic plate and X-rays. The image was so clear that it revealed her bones and even her wedding ring. When his wife saw the picture, she exclaimed, "I have seen my death." This discovery captured the imagination of the world and sparked widespread curiosity. The year 1896 saw an explosion of interest. The Röntgen's biographer, Otto Glasser, estimating that at least 49 essays and over 1,000 articles about X-rays were published. The invention even got sensationalist reactions, with some publications speculating connections between X-rays and paranormal phenomena like telepathy. As time went by, advancements were being made day by day. But one thing remained the same: the name of these radiations. Although the X was meant to represent something unknown, the name X-rays stuck. This happened despite many of Röntgen's colleagues suggesting they should be called Röntgen rays in his honor. Interestingly, in some languages like German, Hungarian, Ukrainian, and many others, they are still referred to as Röntgen rays. Röntgen's groundbreaking discovery was so important that he was awarded the very first Nobel Prize in physics. After discovering X-rays, Röntgen realized their incredible potential for medical use. He was so excited about his findings that, alongside his official submission to the Physical Medical Society on December 28, 1895, he wrote letters to physicians across Europe on January 1, 1896. Word of this remarkable discovery spread like wildfire. By early January, Scottish electrical engineer Alan Archibald Campbell Swinton became the first person after Röntgen to create an X-ray photograph. Soon others began experimenting with this technology. By February, at least 46 researchers in North America were exploring the technique. The first clinical use of X-rays happened on January 11, 1896, when John Hall Edwards in Birmingham, England, used them to locate a needle stuck in an associate's hand. Just a month later, on February 14, 1896, Hall Edwards made history again by employing X-rays in a surgical operation, showcasing the immense possibilities this discovery held for the future of medicine. On one side, X-rays were being considered helpful in many fields, but on the other side, their rapid adoption and widespread experimentation brought unexpected dangers that startled the scientific community. For example, in February 1896, Professor John Daniel and William Laughlin Dudley from Vanderbilt University were exploring X-rays when something surprising happened. Dudley volunteered to be part of an experiment to learn more about how X-rays worked. They carefully placed a plate holder against his head, put a coin between his head and the X-ray tube, and ran the machine for a full hour. 3 weeks later, Dudley was shocked to find a bald spot, about 2 inches wide, right where the X-ray tube had been. This strange event revealed the risks of using the new technology. Reports of burns, hair loss, and even more serious problems like cancer and infertility began to show up in medical reports. These stories showed that X-rays could also be dangerous. Scientists realized they needed to be careful when using this powerful new technology. Today, doctors and dentists carefully monitor the amount of radiation their patients are exposed to during X-ray procedures. So, this was everything about the discovery of X-rays and how it revolutionized the medical field. Yes, there were many scientists before Wilhelm Konrad Röntgen who experimented with invisible rays. But it was his curiosity and persistence that led to the discovery of X-rays. And that's why he's known as the one who discovered X-rays. Let us know in the comments below what you think of this discovery. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting content.